Morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning. I gotta make sure the beard, is calmed down. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. I hope you guys are doing great. Another day, another dollar. You know how it is. Like I say, time to make the donuts. Gotta make the donuts. Got bills to pay, family to take care of, just like all you guys. Anyway, we're not here for that. I pray that the Most High and Sambi and Pungo blesses you guys all, and I pray that all your ancestors walk with you and help you in this realm. Let's see, what will we speak about today? All right, let's speak about real quick off the top, something off the top like I always do. Are you a 24/7 Tata or a 24/7 Yaya? What do I mean by 24/7 Tata and 24/7 Yaya? Okay, meaning, are you the priest or priestess that every minute, every hour of your life, you have that priest mentality turned on? What I mean turned on, meaning is that every time you're around your family or you're around your godchildren, you always have that certain demeanor, that certain let's say, I don't want to make something sound wrong because it's not, but that certain kind of like, authority figure turned on, in a sense that everything that you're speaking about and you're doing has to do with the custom, with the culture, with the tradition, with the belief of the rama that you're in Palo. Like, I'll give you an example. If we're in the Munanso, right? And we're in the Munanso. Once we're in the Munanso, majority of the time, we are doing stuff that has to do with the tradition. Whatever it may be. So we have to be serious. We have to be focused. We have to be on top of everything. There's no playing around. There's no cell phones. There's no cussing. There's no drinking. There's no fooling around, because we are doing things in the tradition that needs focus, and it needs respect, and it needs a certain attitude and a certain demeanor that's needed and necessary for us to be able to work and to do what we have to do. Now, there's instances, right, in life, through all of us, where we turn that off, meaning that we're not in the Munanso. We could be around our brothers and sisters in faith. We could be around our Tata and our Yaya, and we could speak about other things in life that doesn't have anything to do with tradition. We could speak about the tradition also, but we don't have to have that strong sense of leadership or that strong, demeanor, and we don't have to be on that guard. We could loosen up a little bit. We could be people regularly, like just normal, and speak about anything that we feel about. We should speak about, of course, with respect to one another. That's always going to be there, especially to your elders. But you don't have to worry about that the Mpungos, the Nkisis are listening. The Mpungo and the Nkisis are not going to like what I said, because you got to watch it when you're in the Munanso. You got to be respectful. You got to remember that the Nkisis are listening to you. Not only are your ancestors listening to you, the Nkisis are listening to you. Your Tata, your Yaya are listening to you. So you don't want to mix things up. You want to be able to have a private life and have your culture and your tradition also. But at the same time, when you're in the Munanso and there are things like an Nkimba, a ceremony, none of that should be, you shouldn't be even talking about that. You should be focused on the ceremonies, on the Mkimba, on the things that are happening in the house, because it's time to be serious and it's time to do the work that we know how to do, or that we are taught or are being taught to do. You know, for in the future, we could set these same examples and we could do these same things and have this type of balance in our own lives and in our own munanzos. I'm sorry. So the reason why I speak about this is because I have noticed that there are some, elders out there that 24/7 they have this attitude, they have this demeanor, they have, you can't speak about nothing else unless it's about the tradition. You're expected to be on guard, on attention, hut, like a soldier, 24/7. And I don't judge it, but I'm of the belief and of the thought that there's a time and a place and a day for everything. There's times that we have to stop talking about Palo and let's talk about our daily lives. Because what happens is, here, right, in the United States, for what I have seen, we know that we don't follow the African Bantu way. We don't follow that. We know that we follow a Afro-Cuban custom, a traditional way in Palo. So we know that. We know that it does come from Africa, the main roots, but we follow an Afro-Cuban way. You understand? Because we have to agree that we don't follow the way they follow. You understand? Because the Bantu people and their customs, or in their customs, you was initiated not only to be a priest. You understand? Initiation just didn't have to do with being initiated into being a type of healer, a type of priest. Initiations in the Bantu customs and traditions was for different reasons. There was a multiple offices that required initiation, and that did not mean that you was a priest. They were initiated for different offices, different things. For us, initiation is to become part of a house and a part of tradition, and let's say and in some way be of some be a part of a religion. Well, we know that this is not a religion, but we use the word religion because this is how we understand it by. Okay, that's fine. We know. But this wasn't the case in the Bantu, in the Congo, in Africa. This wasn't always the case. There was a ceremonial, let's say scratching, for a priest, an nganga, and then there was ceremonies which also had to do with scratching. They didn't have nothing to do with being a priest. It had something to do with other things. So you see the difference when we come here and we follow the Afro-Cuban way, tradition. We know that when we get scratched, we're being scratched into a house that follows a lineage and is following a healer, whether physical and spiritual. And at one point, we are looking forward, if we are those that have that walk or that calling, we also want to become a nganga, a priest, a Yaya, ngangulera. You understand? So these are differences. So why I bring this in? I bring this in to understand that every time that we are together as paleros and ganguleras, priests, priestesses, medicine worker, healers, we don't have to, from my understanding and for me, we don't have to 24/7 keep our guard up and be afraid. We have to learn as Tatas and Yayas to have a balance. We have to know when to turn the Tata on and the Yaya on, and when to turn the Tata and the Yaya off. Because we want to be able to separate the house, the Enzo, and let's say the religious works. We want to be able to separate that with our normal life, normal living, away from the Enzo. See, you don't take, I work. That's what I'm doing now. I stopped right now just to speak, but I'm working right now. Am I in Tata mode right now while I'm doing deliveries? Am I going to people's houses knocking on and they're doing saying, "Salam alaikum, alaikum salam," in Sala. Kesami takutare. Listen, today we no, I'm not, because number one, I don't know if they're paleros or paleras or enganguleros and ganguleras. I don't know what tradition they follow. It could be disrespectful to them. And number two or three, they don't even know what the heck I'm talking about. I gotta separate from being a Tata, an Engayo, or Pino Nuevo, or Yaya, whatever, from my work, from my family, from my friends, from other people that do not follow this. And even if they did follow it, we have to be able to communicate and speak with that freedom and that confidence that since we're not in that mode, we don't have to be like that. You understand? But I understand also that there are some priests and priestesses that 24/7 have that demeanor on, and it makes it uncomfortable sometimes for the new initiate or even the old initiate, because they wish that they could be another part of you. You know, they wish that they could have a communication with you, more freely, more like it should be. Family, see, this didn't happen in the Bantu tradition. This is not the way that they follow their custom. And that's why I bring it back to the Bantu. You see, in the Bantu tradition, you was able to speak about different things. Even being scratched, whether you were scratched as a priest or you were scratched into the community, because you had to be scratched to come into that community. You wasn't just coming into that community not being initiated. No, you understand? You had to be initiated to be able to be part of that community. Okay, but you was able to speak, to say what you had to say, to give advice. You was able to talk about children, talk about family matters, talk about community matters, talk about crops. How was the crops going? How did we do? You was able to speak about political things, community things, things that had to do with schooling the children, with songs, with writings, with games. Like, it wasn't just 24/7. You was in Nganga, and because, like I just said, not everybody had that office. There were different offices, and every office had its own initiation process. So that separates us from the Afro-Cuban way. When we get scratched in, right? We get scratched into a community, but we also thinking about the practice and let's say the religious way of it, but the belief system and all that. It wasn't the same way as the Bantu, and that's a big difference. But we should be able to get back to being able to speak about other things with respect that doesn't have to do with the tradition, but it does have to do with the tradition. But we just not adding it as a separate addition because we're in the Munanso. No, in the Munanso we gotta be a certain way, and that's respectable. Yes, I'm all for that. I don't want nobody talking crap and playing around when there's serious business going on in the Munanso. Of course not. I want people to be on point, do the things that they have to do, so we could get on with it, and everything works and flows better, no hassle, no problems, no backbiting, no issues. And we are working through everything, and everything's coming out perfectly and fine. We're in a good spirit with good energy from everybody. That's great. But we have to learn how to disconnect from being a Tata and a Yaya out of the Munanso, because we have to be able to build a community where your godchildren could come to you and speak to you as a mother and father, away, separate from the Enzo, and you're capable to give them advice in daily things in life, especially if you're an older person and you have lived an X amount of time, and the ones that are coming to you are younger. They might have more knowledge, school knowledge, book knowledge, but life knowledge, that's totally different. And life knowledge, the only one that could give you that is the elderly, the ones who have lived it already. Things that you haven't lived, things that you didn't go through in your life. See, nowadays, young people here in the Americas, and I'm young. You guys know I always say I'm 50. To this day, I'm young. I understand. But I have lived certain things in my life that a lot of you have not lived. And then you guys have lived certain things in your young life that I had never lived. You understand? So this is, it's not that we are on top of or lower than the other, but there's differences. And there's things that we all gonna live and not live. You understand? And because of the times, of our age differences, and with technology, and with a lot of things that when I was growing up, I didn't have. You know, when I was a kid, I remember the best thing that I could remember was a pinball machine, an arcade game that you have to put money in to play, and then we had something called Atari. I think it was Atari 2600, then it came to 5200. Then we had something called Coleco, you know. Then after that, if I'm not mistaken, was something called Sega Genesis. You know, like, it goes back, you understand? I don't want to bore you guys, but, you know, then Nintendo came and stuff like that. But anyway, let's learn how to separate and not be on Tata or Yaya mode 24/7. And even in Gayos, even new initiates, learn how to relax, calm down, and 24/7. You don't have to be in that palera mode 24/7. Yeah, I understand a lot of us, when we get in at the beginning, we are anxious, we hype, we want to learn everything. I would like to learn everything too, but I learned how to take it easy. I'm not understanding things the same way I understand it when I was younger, when my mind was fresh. Now things are becoming a little harder for me to grasp, to memorize, to understand. The hearing is starting to deplete a little bit, but it starts to deplete, you know, whether because of age or because you worked in an industry or something that had a lot of noise, like I did. I used to work as a merchant marine, and we worked with ships, welding, and using, you know, using pinos, cranes, and they make a lot of noise. And if you don't use ear covering, you know, you start losing little sound tones. Anyway, that's beyond the point. Brothers, like always, I pray that you guys are doing great. I pray that you guys got a little something out of the video. I know I was a little long-winded, but you know, just something to give you guys. And let's keep on moving forward as a family. Let's keep talking. Let's be humble, and let's all just get along. Can we just all just get along? Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. Until the next one, guys. Be safe. Peace out.